Have you ever just looked at the economy, with all its wild swings, the so-called expert predictions that always seem to be wrong, and just had this feeling that something is fundamentally off? Like you're watching some grand performance and you're the only one who doesn't have the script? Well, if you've ever felt that way, you're definitely not alone. So let's dive in, because we are about to pull back the curtain on what might just be the biggest show on Earth. In this quote, this just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? It's such a powerful idea that this whole system we base our entire lives on, the one that decides if we have a job, a house, a future, it's all built on collective belief. It's not a law of nature like gravity, it's a story we all just agree to tell each other. And honestly, that one simple fact is the key to understanding everything else we're about to talk about. This isn't some new, edgy idea. Thinkers like Stafford Beer saw this coming decades ago. He understood that our complex systems, our economies, they aren't just randomly stumbling around. Nope. They have an internal logic, a kind of design that can steer them straight into instability and crisis. It's not a bug, it's a feature of the system as it's currently designed. And this, right here, this is the core frustration. I mean, it's got to drive you crazy too. We have entire armies of experts, Nobel Prizes, round-the-clock news channels filled with people telling us what's going to happen next. And yet, somehow, they seem to miss every single major crisis. You have to ask, at what point do we start wondering if the map they're all using is just completely wrong? And get this, the confusion isn't just on the outside looking in. This slide, which is from Professor Richard Werner's research, it shows that inside the field of economics itself, there are these huge, fundamental questions they just can't answer. Things like why we have these recurring banking crises, what money even is, and why things like house prices seem to just go crazy on their own. The mainstream models, they often just pretend these problems don't exist. So to get the real answers, we've got to look where they aren't looking. All right, so let's start in the engine room of the whole system, the one place we are all taught to completely misunderstand. We're going to uncover the secret of where money actually truly comes from. Okay, on the left, that's the story we all learn in school, right? You put your savings in the bank, and the bank lends that money out to someone else. It's simple, it's intuitive, and it is completely wrong. The reality on the right is way more shocking. When a bank gives you a loan, for a house, a car, whatever, they don't go check a vault to see if they have enough deposits. They just type the numbers into your account. That's it. They create brand new money right there, out of thin air. Now, before you write that off as some crazy conspiracy theory, look at this. This isn't from some random internet forum. This is a direct quote, an admission, really, from the Bank of England. And it's not just them. The US Federal Reserve, the German Central Bank, the European Central Bank, they all say the same thing, plain as day, in their own reports. The power to create money has been privatized. It's in the hands of commercial banks. And just think about what that means. The scale of it. This isn't some small detail. This number, 97%, is basically all the money in our economy. And it's created not by our governments, but by private for-profit banks every single time they make a loan. This is the hidden engine that powers everything. Okay, so if banks are creating almost all of our money, the big question is, where does it all go? Well, it turns out that not all credit is created equal. The new money flows into two completely different rivers, and they lead to two totally different places for all of us. Now, this is the core idea from Professor Richard Werner's work, and it's brilliant. On the left, you've got productive credit. This is the good stuff. It's money created for businesses to invest, to build new factories, to create real goods and services. This is what grows the actual economy, the GDP, and creates jobs. But then, on the right, you have unproductive credit. This is money created not to build anything new, but just to buy and sell existing things like stocks and real estate, pushing their prices higher and higher. So what does that unproductive credit look like in the real world? Well, it's the billions in loans for real estate speculation that make houses unaffordable for normal people. It's the loans to bet on the stock market. It's the credit used for giant corporate mergers, which, let's be honest, usually end up in layoffs, not new jobs. This kind of credit doesn't grow the economic pie. It just inflates the value of the existing slices, and that makes people who already own assets even richer. So once you understand those two key things, that private banks create our money and that most of it is unproductive, you have just found the blueprint for the economic roller coaster we're all stuck riding. You've found the boom and bust machine. And this is how it works. It's a feedback loop. When banks pump billions in this new, unproductive credit into, say, the housing market, what happens? Prices go up, obviously. This makes people feel wealthy, so they borrow more to buy in before it's too late, which pushes prices even higher. The whole thing only works as long as the banks keep creating more and more credit to fuel the fire. And look, this isn't just a theory. The data is staring us right in the face. Check out this chart from Japan's huge bubble in the 1980s. The evidence is just undeniable. As the amount of credit created just for real estate deals went through the roof, land prices followed right behind it in almost perfect lockstep. It wasn't some mysterious market sentiment, it was a direct mechanical result of all that new money. And here's how you can actually see it happening. This is the warning signal. Whenever that blue line, which is total bank credit, grows way, way faster than the red line, which is the real economy, or GDP, that gap between them, that's the excess credit. That is pure fuel being pumped directly into an asset bubble. It's a clear, measurable sign that the system is manufacturing its own instability. And as you can see from this timeline, this isn't a new problem. This pattern is as old as the hills. The roaring 20s in the US, fueled by stock market loans. Japan's bubble, the Scandinavian banking crises, the Asian financial crisis, and of course, the big one, the 2008 global financial crisis, fueled by mortgage lending. Different times, different places, same exact mechanism every single time. A huge surge of unproductive credit. So let's just put it all together. This is the cycle, plain and simple. Step 1, banks create a flood of easy, unproductive credit because it's profitable. Step 2, asset prices, like houses and stocks, go to the moon. Step 3, something spooks the market and the credit suddenly stops, the fuel runs out. And step 4, the whole thing collapses. The bubble bursts, banks are in trouble, and the rest of us get dragged into a recession. It's a repeating, predictable, and manufactured cycle. Now, it is so easy to feel completely powerless when you see how massive this all is. But this is the most important part of the whole story. Systems designed by humans can be redesigned by humans. We don't have to just be passengers on this crazy ride. We can actually be the architects of a new one. I love this quote from Stafford Beer. It's a call to action. It's about rejecting the idea that we have to just sit back and accept whatever future the experts predict for us. Instead, it says we have the tools, we have the knowledge to start building the kind of world we actually want, and we can start right now. And the need for new thinking isn't just coming from people on the outside. Get this, even the high priests of the old ideology have lost their faith. When Alan Greenspan, a guy who basically ran the global economy for decades, has to go in front of Congress and admit he found a flaw in his entire worldview, you know the game has changed. That's a huge crack in the wall. The door is open for new ideas. So what could a redesigned even look like? Well, here's one tool that's been proven to work. It's called credit guidance. It's a pretty simple idea. Instead of the central bank just tweaking interest rates and hoping for the best, it directly guides commercial banks to lend for productive things, things that help the real economy, and restricts the kind of speculative lending that just creates bubbles. And this isn't some fantasy. Countries like Japan and Germany use this exact policy to build their post-war economic miracles. We know how to do this. And that really brings us to the final, most important question. The economy is not a force of nature. Money is a technology. It's a set of rules that we created. And once we understand how those rules are being used right now to fuel speculation, inequality, and crisis after crisis, we earn the right to ask a better question. What do we want this system to do instead? What kind of future are we ready to demand?